With a calm hand and an intense gaze, Ettore Weber stood in the cage, surrounded by tigers that looked docile into his eyes. To the audience, he was a master, an artist who had managed to create a deep bond with these dangerous creatures. But behind the magic, there was always the danger that the situation could change at any moment. Ettore Weber was born in 1958 in Motola, a small community in the province of Taranto, southern Italy, into a family that had been involved in the circus industry for generations. For him, the circus was not just entertainment, but a life full of risks and responsibilities. He had 3 sisters and 6 brothers, and the entire family was involved in the circus in various ways. His parents were of French descent and had settled in Piemonte, where Ettore learned the trade. Ettore's childhood was filled with the sounds of hoops, laughter, and the thrilling calls of circus performers. He learned the basics of working with animals at an early age, and his fascination with big cats quickly emerged. Driven by this passion, he decided to dedicate his life entirely to training predators. In interviews, Ettore often emphasized that for him, training was not about domination, but about communication. He believed that tigers could sense human emotions and react to them. His love for these animals went beyond work. It was a calling, a life's purpose. In his eyes, tigers represented the strength and beauty of nature. For Ettore, training was not merely an art form, it was a deep form of mutual understanding. He introduced subtle hand gestures and used body language to guide the tigers in following their instincts, building a strong trust. His philosophy was that animals should not be forced, but guided with patience and respect. When he grew up, Ettore joined Circo Orfei, one of the most prestigious circuses in Italy. His dedication and patience in working with these majestic creatures quickly earned him a reputation as one of the most talented animal trainers of his time. His performances were not just a showcase of talent, but also an opportunity to convey a message of respect and understanding for the animals. Ettore did not see himself as a traditional trainer, but as an artist who sold his shows for a fee. Over the years, he developed a unique training method based on mutual respect and cooperation with the animals. He believed that the bond between man and animal could be deep and meaningful. With the right approach, wild animals could display their natural beauty and strength without violence or fear. Throughout his career, Ettore received several awards for his work with animals. However, these awards were of secondary importance to him. "My real reward," he once said, "is the moment when a tiger trusts me." For Ettore, the bond with his tigers was not just professional. He saw himself as a part of an ancient tradition. He considered the tigers an extension of himself, beings with whom he shared an almost spiritual connection. This not only brought him joy, but also a sense of peace that he could find nowhere else. When the lights dimmed and the music began, he stepped into the cage with calm determination. The tigers circled around him, every gesture and glance perfectly coordinated. It was almost like a dance, where man and animal moved as one. The audience held their breath as Ettore motioned a tiger forward with just a hand gesture. Ettore's methods were praised, and his performances always drew large crowds. There were moments of pure magic between Ettore and his tigers, when he could make the animals respond with nothing more than a glance or gesture. These animals were not just predators to him, they were his partners in creating a performance full of beauty and danger. Ettore could spend hours with the tigers, observing their behavior. For his sons, Eros and Alex, their father's passion was something they viewed with mixed emotions. They were proud of his skills, but also felt fear for the constant danger that was present. Eros and Alex often tried to convince Ettore to stop, out of concern for his safety and to have him around longer. But his passion always proved stronger. Loredana, who was always by his side, felt that same tension each time he entered the cage. "It was like watching someone dance on a tightrope," she said. Beauty and risk were inseparable. Ettore listened patiently, but each time he chose to continue. But sadly, on July 4th, 2019. Ettore Weber's life took a tragic turn. During a routine practice with 4 of his tigers in Triggiano, near Bari, a normal rehearsal quickly turned into a disaster. Ettore made a calming gesture toward one of his tigers when the animal suddenly roared and attacked. The silence was abruptly shattered by a deafening roar, followed by chaos. Ettore's eyes flashed from one tiger to another, but he had lost control. The other 3 tigers joined in, and it seemed as though the cage itself had come to life. At the edge of the cage stood Loredana, frozen in fear, shouting to the circus staff for help. Before her eyes, her worst nightmare became a reality. The circus staff grabbed anything they could, including fire extinguishers, to try to drive the tigers away, but none of their attempts seemed to have any effect. Tragically, Ettore passed away on the spot from his injuries. The news of the incident spread quickly, causing outrage and sorrow within the circus community. Ettore Weber's tragic passing sent shockwaves through the circus world and became a turning point in the debate on animal welfare. Organizations like People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, PETA, used his passing as an example of the risks and cruelty within the circus industry, calling for reforms and a ban on wild animals in circuses. Across Europe, protests and legislative actions were sparked, with the public demand for ethical entertainment growing louder. Countries like France and Germany had already been running campaigns against the use of wild animals in circuses, and many European nations had passed legislation to limit it. However, Italy was lagging behind this trend, making Ettore's tragic end even more impactful. Circo Orfei, where Ettore had worked for years, decided to limit their animal acts and transition to animal-friendly performances. This decision came in response to public pressure and a renewed awareness of the dangers of working with wild animals. Ettore's tigers were seized and transferred to the Zoo Safari in Fasano in the Brindisi region. Ettore was not just an animal trainer, but an artist who perfected his craft. Ettore lived for his work and shared his passion with all of us, said an old friend. His passing not only brought sorrow, but also reflection on the dangers of their profession. Both Loredana and their sons wanted nothing more to do with the animals. For Loredana, living with tigers had always been a shared passion with her beloved husband, but after the attack, she only felt a deep emptiness and pain when seeing the animals. In her eulogy, she spoke about his fearless character and his love for circus life. Ettore lived intensely and gave us all the strength to move forward, but he also showed us that the line between joy and sorrow is sometimes very thin. After Ettore's passing, the family tried to pick up the pieces. Loredana found it difficult to continue following the circus life, as every performance reminded her of what she had lost. She decided to withdraw from the circus and focus on volunteering for animal welfare organizations as a way to honor Ettore's memory. Now, as circuses are forced to find alternatives to wild animals, many are experimenting with acrobatics, light projections, and even augmented reality. For some, however, it is an opportunity to create a new, ethically responsible form of circus. The tragic incident with Ettore gave an extra push to the broader societal shifts towards ethical entertainment. Many European countries amended laws to limit or ban the use of wild animals, and circuses began seeking alternatives to continue attracting their audiences. Ettore Weber's passing was not only a tragedy, but also a catalyst for change. His legacy lives on in the reforms and discussions about animal welfare within the circus industry. Ettore remains an inspiration and a warning, a man who put his passion above all else and whose life continues to live on in the conversations he sparked.